Hey everybody, I am Crystal Stein and I'm with Dan King and we are getting ready to talk to you guys about some awesome stuff. We were laughing right before we came online here because we were um, joking around about the great insights that Facebook has. Actually, that's serious, they have great insights, but one of them might not be working right now. So all the more reason to have you guys join us today and listen to all the great tips and all the amazing stuff that Dan
Hey
has to
everybody.
tell us about. I'm sorry, I just heard myself there.
Sorry,
I love when the echo happens. It throws me so off.
we're good.
Okay, we're good now. We're talking about Facebook, and it's going to be awesome. And so I'm going to kick it over to Dan so he can talk about Fist Bump Media a little bit and why he is just amazing. And go. No pressure. No pressure.
Why amazing.
Why
Wow.
amazing. And like, Twitter. You're like, oh wait, no,
Oh,
it's
okay.
Facebook tonight. We're talking about Facebook. It can be a long post. Go for
I was gonna say why I'm amazing. That's a whole different webinar right there.
it. Tune in next time.
Yeah, and yeah. Speaking of that, I mean, it's like I was just talking with a friend uh, about Moses in the Bible. In the book of Numbers, it says Moses was the most humble man, like on all the face of the earth. And you think about it, it's like who wrote the book of Numbers? Moses did.
The most humble man.
So,
Yes.
yeah. I'm not sure what to do with that really, but
Well, I mean,
but,
hey,
yeah,
if you got your shot, you might as well go for it. So you have an audience, Dan.
yeah. Anyway, so yeah, Fistbump Media and Facebook and uh, really, a lot of the reason Fistbump Media is here is because of Facebook. A lot of my track record and history working with social media has been in Facebook. For several years, I've been working as the social media editor for the High Calling. We've had a few other people on the team too have picked up some pieces. Managing Twitter, picking up and following Facebook a little bit more closely themselves. But I really helped kind of grow the Facebook presence there for the High Calling quite a bit, pretty substantially. But I think more importantly than fan base numbers for the High Calling, some of the great growth we've seen over the years. Most proud of some of the engagement that we've seen. Because that's one of the most important factors, I think, in Facebook. Anybody who works with Facebook knows that engagement is the key piece. It's not so much growing just a raw fan base of numbers and stuff. And then I'll talk about why just a raw number of likes on a page really doesn't mean as much sometimes, but it's the engagement thing that matters the most. So yeah, it's really because of some great track record and history with managing some great growth and engagement stuff for the High Calling with Facebook. That is the reason I'm actually kind of here. One of the reasons I started Fist Bump Media in the first place, because it was great to see that kind of growth. It was great to be able to replicate it for some other clients and stuff, some other nonprofits, and some other blogging platforms and writers and stuff. So yeah, it's exciting. Facebook is kind of cool, but at the same time, we called this one "What the Facebook" for a reason. It's just because there's a great deal of angst or surrounding Facebook as well. It's just the platform that we all love. It's a platform we all love to hate, and we see a lot of things a lot of times related to how people do things, how they tweak their strategy based on how Facebook operates. That's I think is really driving this one right here. And I don't want to spill it all out here right away. We'll talk about a lot of different things, but I think that's really what's driving this session today is dealing with some of the confusion around that ever-changing landscape of Facebook, and how do we best get our heads wrapped around how we can use this tool, because the bottom line is this is where the people are at, and this is where a lot of the greatest potential is. So yeah, we'll go from there.
No, that's awesome. I think one of the biggest things that's confusing for me as a blogger who is trying to build a platform but do it sort of in an organic way is this whole difference between a personal profile and a page. And, what are the pros and cons to those, and what are the differences? Should I have both, or should I just have one? And which one should I have if I just have one? Help me, Dan. Help me.
Yeah, and that's one of the biggest questions that I get today right now is, especially for writers. For some brands it makes a lot of sense. So as a company with Fist Bump Media, we have a Fist Bump Media page on Facebook where we post things related to Fist Bump Media ideas and some of our own content, blog posts, blog posts from other places. I really think of Mashable does some great stuff and share some great content stuff that I like to share on our Facebook page as well, just along the same lines of the conversations that we're all about. So it makes sense for a company to have a Facebook page, but I think where a lot of the confusion comes in and a lot of people find frustration is, hey, I'm a writer. Does it make sense for me as a writer to have my personal profile and to have an author page? And the answer to that is it depends. So I'm really going to clarify this a lot. I think what I'm going to share really helps quite a bit because some of the reasons there are pros and cons for each one. All right, so with a personal profile, that's your personal page. You set up, you're sharing your family vacation photos and stuff, with your family and friends and that kind of thing too. A lot of people have used that to try to connect and network with a lot of different people. But then one of the arguments I hear about a personal profile page too is some of its limitations are that it's limited to 5,000 friends. So if I want to grow a big platform, I can't grow beyond 5,000. And that is true, but there's some clarification to make about that as well too. I'll get to that here in a second. But on the other side, you have the page that is really it's unlimited as far as the number of followers or friends you can have with your author page. But that does function like a brand. Now, where a lot of the frustration comes in is Facebook has really moved to a very big pay-to-play kind of strategy with that. So if I want to try to build up a lot of fans, the fastest, easiest way for me to do that is going to be to pay for advertising to promote my page so that I can get new fans and followers. And then even when I share content, a lot of conversation right now about how they're changing their algorithms and stuff and pushing down some of that content so you're not reaching as many of your fans. So in a lot of cases you've paid to get those fans, and now you also have to pay then to get that content that you're sharing in front of those fans. So I know there's a lot of frustration there and everything as well. One thing I will say that I think if you're operating as a person, I tend to lean more towards the idea, the strategy of leverage your personal profile because you can only have 5,000 friends, and if you do grow a big platform beyond that, one of the things a lot of people I think don't use well enough is kind of the subscribe. People can subscribe to your personal profile without being your friend. So just like your fan page, when you post content to the public, then that stuff is viewable by all the people who subscribe to you, in addition to your friends and your family and stuff. And I can screen share real quick, and I want to point out a couple. And I'll do that because I want to point out a couple of things to show folks some of what I'm talking about here, just to make sure that we're all clear. So let me get to my browser and screen share, and I'm going to Facebook. All right, so we're on my Facebook page, okay? And the big thing I'm talking about here is when we go to Dan, my page, one of the things you'll see is that I have 1,300 friends, which somehow it doesn't make sense to me. I don't know if I really actually know that many people, but I do. I have 1,300 friends here as well too. But I have 230 people who follow me, and that's done through a follow, kind of subscribe, and you don't see it on when I'm looking at my own profile. Here's the option, but where there's a friend request, there's usually a follow button as well too. So people follow you, and it's when I post my post to public is when those 230 people who follow me can see that content. What I mean here is you can change that so that only your friends see it, only me, or custom. You can share it to different groups and stuff and lists that you create as well. But that's one of the ways, on a personal profile to really kind of filter and navigate if you want to focus on a personal profile, because here's the bottom line. Without the pay-to-play strategy of a page, your personal profile is going to get a lot more traction than a page will. So when I look at how does a personal profile function against a page, the personal profile is always going to get more traction. And this is one of the ways to kind of navigate that, because a lot of people say, oh, I don't want to use my personal profile because I don't want to share all of my family vacation photos with all the people who follow me because I'm a writer. And the one way to manage that is just by using the functions that are built right into the personal profile and say, hey, if I'm sharing family vacation photos, I'm only going to share that with my friends. So they're the only ones that are going to see it. But when I share stuff that's public to everybody as a writer, when I'm sharing links to my blogs and things like that, then those are posts that I'm going to make public as well. It's a pretty easy setting as well too when you're posting. And writing something just to change that setting. So that's one of the big things there that I see with the differences. So cool. With that, I think I'm sure we're probably getting some questions or anything like that too, right?
Yeah, we are. Right now I'm stuck on seeing your screen, so there we go. We're good. All right, we've got some really great questions, actually, and you did an amazing job of actually answering some of them as they were asking them. So I don't know how you did that. It's the awesomeness. Yeah,
which is a whole other webinar again, by the way.
I knew it was there. All right, so Diane asked how she can see who has clicked her Facebook like from her blog. You tracking on that one? Like, she's got the social following icons on her blog, and she wants to see who has clicked that. How does she do it?
That's a tricky one, actually.
Ooh, I really wanted to toss out there, let's play Stump Dan King and see if we could get one.
And I think you might have got me. It's and that's one of the tricky things, I think, from a metric perspective too, is seeing who it is that liked, because somebody can visit my blog who I'm not friends with on Facebook, click like on something. Of course, it kind of shares with their profile that they like something or whatever, right? But if we're not friends and there are privacy settings and stuff like that there, it may not be possible for me to see and notice everybody who's actually clicked like on something. Now, there are some ways that we can kind of track and get somewhat better metrics on that to give us some more information about that. I'll talk about that in a little bit when I talk about some tools here that are some of my favorite tools for managing this stuff and everything. But identifying who can be a tough one, can be a tricky one sometimes, just because of, I think, privacy issues and stuff within Facebook. So.
Right. All right, so Andy asked, she said, Bloglovin recently removed their option to auto-post your blog post to your Facebook page, and she was wondering if you knew of any other auto-posting options.
Yeah, there's a couple. One is, I think...
is it networked blogs? Is that it?
Yeah, network blogs was one a long time ago that was one of the big first ones to market with really kind of auto-posting content like that. I don't know, they're a little tricky. I found an easier one. I think it's RSS Graffiti. I think does a pretty clean job of auto-posting content. Now, one of the other options that I like too is in my WordPress website, I have a plugin, and this is a paid one. I pay like something like $10 a month or something like that to be able to use this. It's called CoSchedule. And I know some of the people I've worked with use CoSchedule, and it's really a fantastic plugin, because one of the things that it does is it gives you sort of an editorial calendar for your blog post in the first place. So I can create a schedule and say, okay, here's my schedule for when I have certain blog posts are going, because I might know something I'm going to be posting next week. Start kind of work on the post, but it's not quite ready yet. I can actually build it out on my calendar, so I can see the entire kind of editorial flow of my blog posts and stuff. But one of the really cool functions that's built into this as well too is, along with that blog post, you can create the social media post that will go along with that. So I write a blog post on Fist Bump Media webinar awesomeness, right? And when that post at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning, I also want at the same time a tweet to go out, but I want another tweet to go out 6 hours after it posts, another one to go out 12 hours after it posts. I want this Facebook post to go out at a certain time, I want a Google Plus post to go out at a certain time. So it's got some of those connections built in. You actually create just on the same page that you write your blog post, create that kind of social schedule for how you want to push that content out. So that's a really, really great plugin. It is a premium one, but man, I'm kind of hoping it's just really kind of based on that idea of the power of what it could do for an editorial schedule, not just for your blog posts, but for all your social media content related to those blog posts too. It's just it's really well worth the $10 a month or whatever it is. So.
Yeah, that one sounds awesome. What was the name of that one again? I'll see if I can find a link to pop over in the chat.
Yeah, CoSchedule.
CoSchedule. Okay, perfect. I will check that out and see if I can get a link over there for you guys so you can, go pay your $10 and be awesome like Dan. All right, so NJ asked, how can she work smarter with her Facebook fan page posts? She'd automated things through Hootsuite, but it gets about 0 love because of the organic reach.
So sorry, I was looking for CoSchedule at the same time too. So how can
she work smarter with the Facebook fan page post? She automated things through Hootsuite, but it gets no traction because of the organic reach situation.
Yeah, and that's a great question. And actually, that's, I think, kind of a good segue into one of the big points here we want to try to hit on anyway. And I did find CoSchedule. I'll pop that into the chat here.
Perfect.
Quick, if you didn't already do it.
I didn't. I did RSS graffiti though. I did pop that one over.
All right, cool. So CoSchedule's out there in the chat now. But just for anybody else watching later online too, it's just coschedule.com is the website address. So yeah, really when it comes to getting the traction when we're posting, one of the other tools I like to use a lot, and if you're using something like a CoSchedule, I like to use Buffer quite a bit too as well for scheduling posts at different times and everything. But I am going to screen share again here real quick, and let me get the screen sharing. Because I want to kind of dig in a little bit to some of the Facebook page features. And some of this stuff is stuff that a lot of people don't really know about, but there's some really, really powerful metrics and analytics that are really built into Facebook pages to help you understand who your audience is, and more importantly, the age-old question, the one that everybody wants to know: when's the right time to post, right? Yeah, gosh, we were just talking about that before we went live too, weren't we, Crystal? So anyway, I'm looking at my my Facebook page here for Fist Bump Media, and I have to tell you, this part of what Crystal and I were kind of joking about a little bit before here as well too is we have a button up here called See Insights. And the one key thing that I'm going to show you is actually, it seems like it's offline right now, but I'm going to kind of show you a few things about Insights here real quick. But I want to kind of get to one piece in particular. As you look at the Insights, it's going to give you a lot of data here about the likes on your page, how much reach is coming through your page, the level of engagement, number of likes, comments, shares, whatever. Even showing it different individual posts, and what kind of reach they had. You can see some of these posts are getting 17 people. I got about I don't know, I think 500 or so fans on the Fist Bump Media page here. So for somebody to go out and only reach 17 people is really kind of ridiculous. And I think that's one of the big pieces of frustration here is, I got 500 people. How do I get that content to the 500 people and not just 17 of them? In another case here too, you see I got something else has gone out and it's gotten 402 people with a lot of great engagement. So lots of post clicks and likes and comments and things like that. So so it is possible for some content, but like I said, scanning through this. You got more information about the likes, overall page like growth, things like that. Digging in deeper into the reach, understanding what's happening. Is it likes, comments, shares, whatever it is. We see visits to the page. But the big one here that I want to get to, it's just the really rich, sweet piece here is posts. And like I said, right now this is showing me data for when your fans are online is not available. But essentially, when this is working, this is a piece. Crystal was just telling me too that she really loves this thing. That it really shows you, for the Fist Bump Media page, got about 500 fans on the page or so. It'll tell me when those fans are actually online. And one thing is usually pretty interesting about the chart here, and one thing I find interesting too, when a lot of the social media experts always say, post at 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon or whatever it is. Most of the pages I've worked with, seems like the peak for number of fans when they're online is usually in the evenings. Sometimes like later in the evening too, like around 9 or 10 o'clock at night. Which is fascinating to me. But you think about it, that's when most people are going to be online on Facebook. So that's when we're going to probably see the greatest possibility for reach to happen. Now, when I say that, I don't necessarily think that means completely avoid lower times on the chart when there were fewer people online, because there's a lot to be said for a growing base of study and research that indicates that there's a lot of value to posting at off-peak times as well. So posting at times like 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning, when there's not going to be a lot of other competition for posting that's going on at the same time. Because that's one of the downsides that when there are a lot of people online, is that means that there's a lot of people posting too. So. As far as I think getting to that question about getting the content out there to get the greatest organic reach, this is one of the pieces that I lean on the most, is really understanding when my fans are online. I'm going to see peaks and stuff all throughout the day. And that's when I try to target. That's when I try to target my post to go out more often than not, is when the people are going to be there to actually see the content. So yeah, I hope that answers Andy's question there.
Yeah, that was awesome. And it's funny, you were talking about the times that your fans for that page are mostly online, and it's the same for the sites that I work on. It'll show this awesome graph, and it shows you exactly how many of your fans traditionally are on at what times, and it's always like 9 and 10 o'clock at night, and we usually post at 8 and 9 in the morning. And it's one of those things too where you really shouldn't just be posting once a day. So I think it's great to be able to take a look at those insights if you have a page and say, okay, well, I know people are going to be on at 9, but I also know that I'm going to miss a huge chunk of my audience if I only post then. So, I think it's a great tool, but I think you have to just make sure that you're, doing your posting a little more frequently, and I think doing the right kind of posts, which Facebook has. I think Twitter's easy. You have one type of post. It's basically a status update. Everybody sees it. You don't have to worry about if you're adding a photo, if it gets lost, where you put the link, because it just all goes in the same place. So what are the different kinds of, can you talk to us a little bit about the different kinds of statuses, and then what works best and where to put things, if it's a photo or a link, or how does it all work?
Yeah, and that's great. Yeah, and and it's interesting too. One of the things I'll point out to you, even about the time of day posting and stuff, is I see that vary quite a bit from client to client. One thing I find is really interesting. A lot of times, for especially faith-based organizations, religious organizations, churches, stuff like that, I see. Because you can go by a day of the week on those too. In the Facebook Insights, it'll let you mouse over. Hey, what's your traffic look like on Tuesday compared to Wednesday? And one thing I find is interesting a lot of times with faith-based organizations and stuff is that Wednesday night traffic actually dips lower than the averages. And it's like, why? Why do they do that? But a lot of people have church on Wednesday nights. So if you're talking about a faith-based organization, a lot of their followers are going to be those people who probably active in their churches and may not be around. But then sometimes I see a little spike back up over the average much later at night, like at 11 or 12 o'clock, because now they're finally getting home from church, and then by the time they get settled down, then that's when they jump online and kind of catch up on stuff. So it's really interesting. That's why it's really important for everybody to really kind of understand that piece of when their fans are online, because it can really vary quite a bit from person to person. Some other non-faith-based organizations that I work with, completely different than that. They don't see the same dip on Wednesday nights like that. But to get to the question you're talking about, let me go back to sharing here again. And right on the same, I'm on the post tab here, and where you see where I have when your fans are online, I also have post types. And this is something else that varies quite a bit, from client to client. And I do tend to see some trends in this, but this is where a lot of the changes in Facebook algorithms are starting to impact some of this stuff quite a bit more. But one thing that's interesting, and this is what I've seen traditionally. And again, please know that this is part of that dynamic landscape. That this could really change quite a bit. But what we see here on the Fistbump Media page is when I post plain text status updates, you see my reach is, and that would be the number of people that see those posts, right? Is more than double number 2, which is photos. And then we tend to think like, oh, photos are going to be great, right? And they are great. Because look at this, even though the reach there for my photos on the Fistbump Media page is less than half of statuses, look at the level of engagement for them. It's quite often the case here, triple the engagement than what I get on plain text status updates. Okay, so part of this is going to depend on what we're going for, what you need to try to get done and get out there. And then you see in this case too that really kind of below both of those, both on reach and on engagement, is link posts. So let me go back out to the page and show you a couple of these so we can kind of see exactly what I'm talking about. So when we define these things, so something like this is a link post. Is where I've shared a link to something. It's got something in the description, but it's got the link preview kind of section down here underneath. It's got the link with the title and the description and stuff like that too, and usually some image that goes along with it, right? So that's a link post. Those are the ones that traditionally have been getting less traction than a lot of the others. Now this one is a photo post. Okay, so this is one where I've shared a photo on Facebook, but I put in the description for that photo some additional text, including a link. And see more stuff, and so you know how that goes. That tends to get pretty good reach, but it's going to usually get a lot more engagement than it does than it does a lot of the other types of links and stuff. Let me get down here a little bit too, see if I can find a plain text one. And then here's one of the plain text ones. Okay, and you can see what I've done. That there's no link preview, there's no photo or anything like that associated. It's a plain text status update. And one of the things about a plain text status update is that it can include a link in it, right? So I can still get the link out to something, but it doesn't have the link preview piece down there. So let me show you too real quick how to make that happen. Because if I take a link and I paste that link into the status field, it's automatically going to go ahead and pull the preview for me, right? So if I want to make that a plain text status update, really I just need to click the little X in the top corner and remove the preview. But that link will still stay hot in there, and I can type in whatever else I want to around this. Awesome stuff, right? Along with my link. So, cool. And I'm not actually going to post this right now, but you see how that, and then I would post that, and I would post as a plain text status update with a link in it, just like if I were to put a link in a photo or something like that as well. So those are the big differences. So really, when it comes to mix and what the right type of post is, really kind of a combination of all of them. I really try to vary some of the times that I'm posting things and vary the types of content that I'm sharing. I think probably one of the best ways to do it, I'm going to kind of switch back so you can see me talking now. I really think one of the best ways to handle that is draft out a little bit of a plan and say, you know what, for the next week, I'm going to try in the evenings, 8, 9 o'clock at night or whatever, because I know that's probably when most of the traffic is going to be online. And I'm going to try plain text status updates for a week and see how that goes. The next week at 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night, I'm going to try image post and see how that goes. Because I think the best way to really kind of get down to the right answer of what's going to work best, because it is going to vary quite a bit from person to person and platform to platform, is to try some of those things, watch those insights and stuff, and measure that and see how the stuff is performing. It might even make sense, you know, in the end. It's like, you know what, on some nights I'm going to post image photos, and some nights I'm going to post plain text status updates. Some nights I'm going to share links. And a lot of the new algorithms, to be honest, even though links in what I just showed you too seem to be kind of lower on that threshold, those seem to be some of the posts that Facebook for pages and stuff are starting to boost up a little bit more, while impact of all the others are starting to drop a little bit. So don't count those out. Keep those in the mix and play with those to see which is giving you the best traction. But that's the best way to do it and find the right answer to that is to test it very systematically and kind of track to see how each one is performing for you.
So the insights and being able to track those posts are great if you have a page. Is there any way to do that if you're just using your personal profile? If you've decided, hey, I'm just going to go with the personal profile, I'm not going to have the author page, I'm going to let people subscribe. How do you get the analytics on that? Is there any way to do that?
Yes, there is, and that's a great question. And here's one thing I'll say too. As well, just in that kind of comparison between them, and as far as how to make that decision between the types of pages and the personal profile. One thing is like I said, you're going to get a ton more traction on the personal profile than you ever will on a page. What some people like to do is, especially, and it works especially well if you run like a brand, for example. So I have Fist Bump Media and my personal stuff. I have BibleDude.net and have a page for that. So it's not really an author page, but it's really, you know, controlled more by me and my blogging and stuff. So so I will usually post to those pages first if I do maintain a page, and then I'll also give it a little bit of time, you know, to give a little bit more spread, kind of away from that original posting time. And then reshare that over to my personal profile. And then when I usually reshare this to my personal profile is when I then usually see a lot of the engagement just start to spike up on, you know, even back on the original photos and things like that on the pages. But one thing I will say, if you're trying to make that decision, do I keep focus on my personal profile, or do I maintain an author page as well too? You know, if you're pursuing publishing and you have an agent and you know, a book deal and stuff like that in place too, and your publisher is saying you need to have an author page, then have an author page. Personally, I don't think it makes a lot of sense, but if that's what they're saying to do, then you need to do that. And just know that there's some things you can do to really help kind of boost that. A lot of it's going to be relying back on how you leverage your personal profile to drive stuff to that author page and resharing from that author page and everything on your personal profile.
How does that not get spammy? Because I think that's one of the concerns is if you have the page and the personal profile and you're posting on both and you're doing the same thing and your family loves you on your personal profile and they're big fans of your writing, so they're over here too. How are you not just overwhelming them? How do you find that balance?
Yeah, and that's a tricky one, especially if I'm running Dan King author and Dan King personal profile, and Dan King author, Dan King personal profile is resharing something from Dan King author. Yeah, it does get to be kind of messy, and that's one of the things, too. I think that kind of separates it, and kind of in my mind makes it not make sense to try to maintain both. But when I run a Fist Bump Media page, I'll post something to Fist Bump Media. One thing is I know it's not going to get a ton of reach. But when I post something to Fist Bump Media and then I reshare it to my wall, and actually let me come back because this is one of the things that I try to go for sometimes with my personal profile. So let me reshare again my screen. All right. So you remember this, the what the Facebook post that's on my Fist Bump Media page, right? And I just reshared it earlier on my personal profile wall. But I got the Dan King shared Fist Bump Media LLC's photo, and that's one of the big things that's important to me as well. Is I didn't reshare the same photo again on the Fist Bump Media wall. It's been a few days since really anybody who's followed me has seen this. I wanted to get it back out there again earlier today just to kind of boost up and say, hey, by the way, everybody, this is tonight. So I reshared it to my personal profile. And there's a big span, too, if you look kind of through my personal profile, to find when the last time I shared that was. Oh, by the way, look at that. Deidre Riggs saw my book at Jubilee Conference. What? You look through my personal profile timeline, and you see that I'm not being super spammy with that, but I did share it there on my wall again. And so there's some distance between them. That's why I try to create some of that distance and not do I share to my author page and I share to my personal profile right at the same time. Because I don't know if that maximized the timing and and stuff like that. And if the same people are following both, then they're going to see it right at the same time, and it just does get kind of clunky and stuff. The good thing is Facebook will kind of group that together as well. But that's one of the things I try to do here is I try to reshare from my page onto my personal profile so that I make that connection, because then people know that this is related to something with Fist Bump Media. Same thing, if I'm sharing something from Bible Dude, they'll see the same thing. I share something from Bible Dude. That's just a kind of an indicator as well to let my friends know where this is coming from. Is Dan sharing something that's related to social media, blogging in general, or is he sharing some of his cool, faith-based stuff, about his trip to Africa that he just got back from or something? So yeah, that's one of the big things there. Did that answer the question? Kind of lost.
Yeah, no, that was perfect. And I think, let's see, I want to just make sure I'm not missing any questions, because I know that was one that Aaliyah had asked a little bit ago, and I wanted to make sure we got to that. So I think that definitely answered that. And then, let's see. All right, so Jennifer said she loves to share posts/images from her friends, but those posts are barely seen on her page. And she was wondering what the reason is for that. And this might go along with Diane had the question about paid versus organic reach. So I don't know if you want to talk about sort of, those might be two different things, but.
Yeah, and actually I do remember a piece of a question too here that I didn't get quite answered yet as well. But yeah, that's the whole thing about posting to the page and not getting the reach. That's part of the frustration. That's where Facebook is changing their algorithms and stuff and making that stuff less popular. And here's the reason for that too. And I want to make sure people understand this, because this is a really important point. If you understand all the different social media platforms, and we're going to get into some of the other ones with webinars dedicated to them, just like this one, throughout this year. We're going to talk about Google Plus and why that's important and stuff as well too. We're going to talk about Pinterest and those kinds of things. But each of the social networks really has its kind of key area of focus of what it's all about. And with Facebook, it's all about people. Okay, and that's a really good thing, and what happens is when it's grown as much as it has and gone over 1 billion users and all that stuff, all the marketing people in the world start going, whoa, look at this is where all the people are at. So they start jumping in and say, we got to start branding, we got to get our stuff out there, we got to have a presence. And then what happens when all the gazillion brands in the world start jumping into Facebook as well too? It starts cluttering up people's news feeds. So news feeds become just a stream of advertisements and promotional posts from companies and stuff, and you start to lose that. Well, I just wanted to see the pictures of my mom's vacation down to Cancun or something, So you start to lose all that stuff, and then when that happens, that's when people start leaving Facebook. And that becomes bad for brands, and it becomes bad for Facebook because for them to lose people means that the network is starting to die. So part of Facebook's kind of pay-to-play stuff in changing their algorithms and bumping down and minimizing the impact of people's page posts is just two things. So yeah, of course they're trying to make money and forcing you to pay in order for your page content to get seen. But the other thing is it's really cleaning up the news feed to keep it more about people, to keep people on Facebook, because that's the only way they're ever going to make money too, is if the people are there. They don't want to become another MySpace where all the people have just migrated and disappeared. So a lot of the stuff that really frustrates us, a big reason for that happening is exactly the reason why we need to be there. But what that does is it kind of shifts things for the person who's interested in marketing a brand, whether you're a writer or blogger, small company, anything like that. If you're trying to kind of market in this space and stuff, it changes how we do that. One of the things I thought was really, really interesting is was it Pete Cashmore or something like that, right? The guy that runs Mashable? Did I get that right, Crystal? Yeah, that's him. I think. I'm pretty sure.
We'll say yes because I don't know.
It's also, I hope I'm getting his name right. I'm pretty sure I am. But I saw something fascinating one time, and I'm not sure if it's this was a little while ago, so I'm not sure if it's still true right now today. But there was a time where he had more. I talked about the followers and not friends thing, right? On a personal profile, he had more followers on Facebook on his personal profile than Mashable did had fans on their page, and that's how content was really being driven and stuff getting back to Mashable was through his personal profile because people subscribed to him as a person. And that's really fascinating. You can subscribe to anybody that's out there, to their personal profile, and they manage and leverage it that way and stuff different than a page. So, but that's the area that's going to get the reach, and that's held true for him for years. So, yeah. Oh man, I just lost where I was going with that again.
Well, you'll be happy to know that you got his name right, confirmed by Robin. Thank you, Robin. Somebody who knows more than I do.
Thank you. Awesome. So yeah, that's a big thing with that. The questions we were working on.
Okay, I got a couple more for you.
Okay.
Let's see. All right. So Alyssa wants to know, how is pay-to-play, Facebook's new thing, helpful to authors, small business people, etc., and should a person start with the boost post option or boost page?
Yeah, that is a great question. And we had somebody in our Fist Bump Media kind of university group on Facebook. I'm going to drop the link to that group here in case anybody wants to, in the chat, so in case anybody wants to follow us and join this as well. I would say really before you start getting in the pay-to-play, boosting posts and stuff, watch the video that we have posted in the group called Facebook Fraud. And really what it is pay-to-play gets really tricky because what happens is one of the ways a lot of people have made money is by kind of creating click farms, like farms and stuff that I could go out and pay $50 and get X number of several hundred followers or something like that on my page or something like that too. And really, what that is, it's people probably sitting somewhere in India or Pakistan or Egypt or somewhere, with just access to dozens of fake profiles and stuff, where they're just getting all these different profiles to like your page and stuff, and it's building your likes. But the thing is, it's not creating the engagement either. So, and kind of part of the study that Facebook fraud video kind of digs into really looks at how even Facebook advertising, by boosting posts, a lot of those click farm places too will jump on and click on some of those advertising and stuff. That helps kind of keep them kind of under the radar from getting banned from Facebook, because it's against Facebook's kind of terms of use and policies and stuff like that. So so they'll click on the boost post ads and stuff like that as well too, just so that they kind of go unnoticed. So it's a really tricky game. The best way to build your Facebook page is going to be organically, and that's the hard way to do it. But it's really going to be the best, cleanest way to do it to get you followers that are real followers. So yeah, But with that said, if you are building your fan page organically, and you're confident that your followers are good followers, then yeah, boost post is going to be an easy way to make sure that post does get out to more of those followers and gets seen by them. And it's a good way. It's actually kind of a cheap way to boost it up and get some visibility for it and stuff. But that's something too that I was really trying to monitor very closely and make sure that I'm kind of measuring the impact of that. So I may try a couple of different types of posts. Try an image post, boost it for $10 or something like that. Try a text-based post, boost it for $10. Try a link post, boost it for $10. All go into the same thing, kind of see which one is working the best for you, as far as the engagement, the reach and stuff. So yeah, that's a key piece. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. There's one question I think you'll be able to answer pretty quickly, and then I want to just make sure we hit that last point you want to talk about before we wrap up, because I have a really good one for you to wrap everything up. And you might have seen some of it in the chat, everybody was talking, but Sarah wants to know how she gets somebody to subscribe to her personal page, because you were talking about the option to give people, I think it's a setting, you actually have to turn that on in your privacy settings to allow people to subscribe to your profile, and then it'll show that little button. Does WordPress have a widget or a plugin to encourage people to go over there instead of liking you or adding you as a friend?
Yeah, let me see. Hold on a second. I'm going to get to a page here. All right. So let me screen share again, and I am actually looking at one of everybody's favorite people, Bill Gates, right? What? Everybody loves Bill Gates, right?
It's true. We do. We love Bill Gates.
He's
yeah.
Yeah.
Yay.
This is actually a page, so it's not him. But this is where you see it's very similar on the actual personal profile, where you have an add friend button. You also have a follow button like this as well too. And yes, it's that could be turned off by some folks in their privacy settings. I think by default it should be on for you. So people, when they come to your page, they're not already friends with you. They should have that option to either friend request you or to follow you, unless you've turned that off in your privacy settings somewhere. So I'm trying to think of somebody I'm not friends with that we can look up or something. Let me see. Yeah, there's Pete Cashmore I was talking about. Yeah, there we go. So on Pete Cashmore, as you can see, add friend or follow. And it's that follow piece is that subscribe that I'm talking about. You can see this guy, he's followed by 875,000 people. So obviously what he's sharing from Mashable on his personal profile is going to be reaching a lot of people at a much higher rate than the pages actually reach and stuff. So, but that's that piece I'm talking about. It should be on by default for anybody who's visiting your page. If you have a question about it, you can sign off of Facebook and then try to visit your personal profile link to make sure that that is on. So when you're not signed into Facebook, you should see that. If not, then check your privacy settings and stuff. There should be settings for who can do what. I think you can even turn off people can add friend for you or not. Things like that. So it should be pretty simple. So yeah, that's that. One of the other things I wanted to hit, and this is one of the questions here as well too. This is related to tools. We talked about measuring, engagement and stuff on your personal profile, like you do with the insights on a page, right? Is that a question, Crystal? At one point, I think.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Sorry, I was muted. I was trying to answer. Yes, nodding vigorously.
So yeah, that's one of the places where I use Buffer quite a bit, and this is one of the other things too. Whether it's a page or anything else, one of the things I love about Buffer is the ability to build a schedule. So we talked about the peaks and stuff. And actually, let me go to the Bible Dude Facebook page here. We talked about the different peaks and stuff throughout the day, based on when your fans are online. I find the peaks on there for every day of the week, and every day of the week I create a different posting schedule for that time, trying to take advantage of those peaks. So you see I have some stuff, in this case, on Mondays, late morning, late afternoon, and then after 9 o'clock at night. Tuesday, kind of similar. There's a little peak earlier in the morning at 8 o'clock, things like that. So Wednesday there's one a little bit later, about 9:30. I get a peak there and stuff. So so you see different times that I have. Ironically, Sunday evening is usually one of my busiest times of engagement stuff on Facebook as well. A lot of marketers aren't doing stuff at that point. But you can post to your personal Facebook profile as well. Create a schedule for when you might want to post. I would definitely say whatever schedule you create, don't post stuff, as far as schedule is concerned, less than 2 hours apart. Keep a span of at least 2 to 3 hours between kind of content posts like that stuff, so you're not getting too spammy with it. But one of the great things here too as well is where a personal profile on Facebook won't give you the analytics as far as post engagement stuff. A tool like Buffer will. So when your posts go out, that's a great thing about it. It'll show you which ones are hitting, which ones are not. It'll even flag some and say, hey, this was a top post, and show you why. It's got comments, 11 likes. This one got a few likes, so not a top post necessarily. 6 likes. Here's another one that's a top post, got 11 likes on it. So on. So it'll kind of give you some of that data as far as what's getting clicked through, what's not, what's getting that kind of engagement and stuff to help you kind of measure that. So that's one of the things as far as tools is concerned that I think really helps me out quite a bit. Cool.
Yeah, I love Buffer. It's one of the tools I use all the time. I use it every day. It's amazing. Okay, so I've got one last question here that I want to wrap up with. Was there anything else that you wanted to hit on before I asked you this last question?
I think I'm pretty good right now.
Okay, cool. All right, so where do you see Facebook going in the next 5 years, Dan? Is it going to go away? Is everybody leaving it? Are they all going to Instagram and Twitter?
That's a great question. I don't know if they're going to Twitter. I haven't heard like really super encouraging news about Twitter very much recently myself. And I know there's always different reports and stuff, but yeah, and that's not me making a prediction that Twitter's going away or anything either. But Facebook, when I was on MySpace, I don't know that I would have said, well, 5 years, man, MySpace can be rocking, and it wasn't, so where exactly it's going to be in 5 years is a tricky one, and I think here's the key. Here's what's going to determine this and stuff is how well Facebook is going to keep the ability to keep it about people. They're doing stuff that's really frustrating brands quite a bit, but the reason they're doing that is to keep it about people and to keep the people on Facebook and stuff. So I don't know if I necessarily see Facebook becoming gone or completely obsolete, at least within the next couple of years. And it's really hard to say what else will emerge, 5 years out. But I think the bottom line is whether it's Facebook and Facebook goes away and gets replaced with something else. One of the most important aspects of social media is the people connection stuff. No matter where we're at, we have this need to be able to connect with one another. And we have just technology in general has given this amazing ability to be able to do that in ways that we've never seen before. Facebook is the platform, may settle down, it may continue to run strong stuff, but I think it really depends on their ability to keep it about people and keep junk off of it. Like it or not, they've actually done a relatively good job of keeping a lot of junk off of it. There's some things I see on Google Plus right now, which is growing pretty strongly. There's a lot of reasons to be on Google Plus, but there's some crazy spammy stuff out there still. Facebook has, I think, evolved quite a bit past that and done a pretty good job of maintaining it, keeping it about people. So it's really, I think, going to depend on their ability to be able to do that.
That's awesome. I think that I feel a little bit happier with my relationship with Facebook now. I don't think I'm going to go totally delete my, well, not like I could. I can't delete my accounts. They've hooked me. I'm in for life. But there's so many great tools and great ways to use it and great ways to get around some of the frustrating things, I think, if you really look into it. So do you want to just wrap up talking about a couple of the other? I know you mentioned we have a few more of these social media geared ones coming up, so yeah. I don't know if you wanted to hit on any of those, and then we can wrap it because we've got a minute left.
Yeah,
we're good on time. We're amazing tonight.
Absolutely. And here's the thing, too, and I'll throw this out about Facebook as one last thought about Facebook is I know it can get frustrating. As somebody who makes a living on Facebook all day long and stuff, it can be really super frustrating. I mean, there's several times I'm just banging my head on the wall going, come on, how do I get this content in front of people? And that's the thing. I have to reel myself back quite a bit and stuff, too, and just remember it's about people. And when you get to the questions about how often is enough or the right times and stuff like that, too, so I don't get too spammy, that's it. Remember, if you're only posting content to try to promote your blog, then you're probably being too spammy. I try to be very intentional about, my platform is growing enough too, where people want to know what's going on with my life, and I share pictures of what me and the family are doing and stuff. Some of the stuff I try to keep towards family and friends. Some of the stuff I try to make public, so that people who are following me, maybe not necessarily friends, get a little bit more than just here's my latest blog post. So yeah, just to continue to keep it personal. It's all the changes in Facebook. The only thing it's really forcing is forcing people to get smarter about how they post and how they share their content, and drive the message of the brand. Whether the brand may just be you, So be careful about that. One other thing I want to share too is over on BibleDude.net. I've got another great webinar. Actually, it's actually tomorrow morning, 11 o'clock tomorrow morning Eastern time. Which would be like 8 a.m. Pacific time and stuff. So sorry if that's a little early for some folks, but it's the only time I can work out with them. But you'll see it on the page here for the What the Facebook broadcast. Down at the bottom, it's called Social Church, and I'm actually interviewing a guy. It's a shorter one. It's only about 30 minutes long. A guy named Justin Wise, and The Social Church is the name of this book, a theology of digital communications. But fantastic, really brilliant social media strategist in the church today and stuff. And his whole thing too, and we'll talk about this in the morning, is during Martin Luther's time, he's a Lutheran, a big fan of Martin Luther and stuff. During Martin Luther's time, there was a technological revolution that really it was a game changer for them back then. It was the printing press. And Justin's thing is today we're in one of those game changer moments and stuff with technology, the way we have social media to really blast out and change the world with the message of the church and stuff today. So that's what he's all about, what the message of that is about. So I'm really looking forward to interviewing him tomorrow about that. So if you click on that banner down below the chat pod stuff, then that'll take you over to the Bible Dude page where you can register for that. So. But really looking forward to that. It's a fascinating conversation about the church and technology and social media and stuff in general. So, cool.
Awesome. All right. Did we cover everything? I think we covered it all, right?
I think we did.
Oh. And I have to say, the chat on these things is my favorite part. I get so lost in it. It's why I mute myself, because you would hear me typing the whole time, because I'm over here chatting with them, and you're chatting over here. It's the best. It's the best. You have the best audience.
Yeah, and everybody is fantastic. I wish I could just folks. I'm too busy talking sometimes. But I do. I go back and I look at the chat roll and stuff like that. And it's a great conversation. Yeah. So thank you everyone for jumping in. I love your voices, and these conversations are fantastic.
Yeah, and like always, if you guys come up with other questions that you have that we didn't get to answer, or they just strike you later when you're actually on Facebook using it and something comes up, head over to the Facebook Media Facebook page, because we're there, and post those questions, and Dan will be there to respond, and everybody in that community is super helpful. So you will get answers and all kinds of advice, and be able to really connect with people who are doing the same kind of stuff on social media as you, bloggers, writers. Trying to figure it all out. So, I guess until the next time, right?
Woo woo.
All right, fist bump.
Fist bump.
Boom.
Cool.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night.